What's up everybody, Mr. Steve back. This video is for Harvester X. He's following me on YouTube and he's got a question, and the question is, hey, I want to make a button that says wireframe on or wireframe off, okay, or all off, all on, and it's going to toggle wireframe mode for everything. How do I do that? Well, we're going to figure out how to do that right now. I'm going to show you actually two methods. One method we're going to do in GPT, or rather Claude 3.5, after we just do it with the Serpens add-on creator, which is still being being developed, which is great. And I don't mean it's not complete, I just mean there's new iterations coming out soon. And even after all these years, this add-on that creates add-ons is still chucking along. So bear with me as I've just begun to set up here. Now, let's get a couple of objects in the scene that are going to look good with wireframe. I believe the icosphere will look nice. And I believe the UV sphere will also look very nice. I'm just going to scale these up a touch. You don't have to apply scale or anything like that. Not even a big deal. And for the posterity of it, we'll put old Susie in there, because I like Susie. And now we're in the Serpens add-on creator here. I'm in the visual scripting workspace, and I'm just gonna go for a setup here, possibly just a button, but I think what I want to do is just have this not show in the end panel, because that's just how I'm trying to do things, because the end panel's crowded. It's got a lot of users. So we're going to grab an on key press. We're gonna grab a standard operator, and we're going to tie these two together, but we don't want this called on key press. So what is this going to be? This is going to be wireframe. I'll just call it wireframe mod. I'll call this one, let's see, actually just to see, do wireframe op. That's fine, doesn't matter what it is. And then I want to set this to custom and then grab wireframe op. So now this is going to do this. Okay, it's going to pop it up. And if I do actually have a pop-up and we test this out real quick, we can see, hey, I've got a label here. So the pop-up, when I press Y, I'm going to get a little pop-up. It's going to say, confirm, and it's going to do absolutely nothing. And I'm just pressing Y, and now I've got this little pop-up. So we know that's working, and that hotkey is not necessarily pulling up anything else. I put this back to none, Shift R, compile, Y, nothing. Now let's go ahead and save our file before we get too far in. I'm going to go to desktop, just going to get a new thing. I'll say wireframe mod, and we're going to go in here and we can just say wireframe 1, and this will be the first save iteration. You can save multiple iterations. I highly recommend that. Now, what do we want to do? We want to grab the objects viewport display, more than likely, and that's going to be wireframe, but doesn't turn on maybe for all of them. If you press wireframe, it's only going for the active objects. So what do we do to remedy that? Well, what we'll have to do is build out a loop. Okay, we can do that via the execute, so it's behind the scenes once again, so we don't have anything in the end panel, nothing in the interface. So let's grab a loop 4, and this execute node is going to allow us to go and loop over everything in the viewport. Let's go to Blend Data Browser. Let's expand this. Control middle mouse will make this bigger, so not only I can see it, but you guys can see it. I want to copy context with any active object under any one of these 4 menus right here, probably pretty good, and just copy context. I'm going to go to context. I'm going to come down, and just so you can kind of see there's not that much in here, I'm going to the view layer, and I want to grab objects under the view layer. Now I can minimize that because I want to loop over only objects that are in the current view layer. This just really prevents a lot of errors later on. So people using different view layers, you can add logic for that, or hey, it's just going to go over that current view layer. Now this is going to be looking for a pointer property, so we're actually going to scroll all the way down until we get to property. There's a little Suzanne icon, And now we can loop over these and say for each one of these objects that has X property, which is going to be in data under objects. So you want to find objects, go to any one of these, doesn't matter. I'm going to come down, and what we can do is we can just do the filter here, because it looks like a little oil filter. It's funny, I didn't realize that till about 6 months ago. Everyone always calls that the filter, and I just, yeah. So I'll just type in wire, see if I got anything here. Show wire, okay? Well, let's grab that by just clicking right here, and now it says copied, all good. And if you're lost completely, by the way, all you have to do is go over to some of my earlier videos about Serpens. I've actually got a playlist, and this will be going in there too. Let's do a set property for this. And first thing I want to do is I want to test this. So I'm going to grab a trigger, and I'm going to tie this into the execute here. This is going to work on the Suzanne, and I want to trigger that to be on. And let's just do active object. So probably isn't going to work. Oh, I'm in the wrong context, aren't I? Val show expected wireframe none, trigger, execute. It's going to act the fool because I don't have a property set. Ha ha ha. So under the wireframe value, this is going to be a Boolean. So I need to switch that to Boolean. So let's switch this to true and run the trigger. Boom, it's on. Boolean off. Trigger, boom, looks good. So now what you can do with that is you can make a toggle, okay? And that's the general idea, and that's what the guy's asking for. And anytime you have a trigger in here, it's gonna cause like a little hang up, an error. This code is gonna disappear sometimes when you save and close. So what you wanna do is delete those triggers out. So now what do? We're gonna say we need this to set the property and repeat for every object, okay? But to be a toggle and to loop over every object in the view layer, this output property will go into objects instead of just using active. Currently, it's using active object. Now it's looping over every object. And let's see if it sets all of them, whether they are selected or not. This is a good test. I'm just gonna press Y, and it looks like they are now all wireframe turned on. We do this, we go press Y, and now it's turned off. So now we need a toggle action for this. Now it's going to be a basic but good setup. This will work just fine. Shouldn't give you any errors. Let's type in if. We're going to get an if else. So it's going to say, hey, if this happens, what is that? It's going to be under the node tree you're working on variable. We're going to just add a little variable, and we're going to call this wire var for variable, just whatever, it doesn't matter. Now I'm going to name that a Boolean, and then I'm going to add the get variable, and this is now going to control it in a sense. And what we want to do is grab this set property and Shift D, G, Y, bring it down. Let's tag this true in here and the false in here. So if said property is false, set it true, and if it's true, set it false. Very simple stuff. We also want to set our variable. We want this property, and I'm not going to mix these up. I think I'm just going to grab another one here, and then I'm going to Control H, hide that so it's minimized. Whoops. Let me Control H that again. Tag the Boolean for that property in. We're setting this. This is this variable. Hey, whatever this is, do this or do this. Okay, so it's using the show wire property. So it doesn't matter what it is out here. If it's true, it's going to set it false. If it's false, it's going to set it true. And then this variable is being set and controlled based off of this real live Boolean. Then we want to just drag this property over here, drag it over here, use less nodes, press Y, on, off, on, off. Very cool. You could sit there and literally do that all day now. So, what else do you want to do? Well, if you want to be good, you can go over here and say, hey, preferences. I want a preference node. Boom. And I'm going to expand that out, and I'm going to say display what? I want to display SCRP Serpens shortcut. Okay, and what shortcut is that? That is going to be the on key press we just made from Visual Scripting Editor. There's wireframe mod. So now when we open preferences, exit out of that. If you're under Serpens, it'll say thing right here, so it's white. So now if we press U, U does it. Okay, so that's one way to do that, and that will keep it clean. Now, as far as UI display, if you don't want to use this, I'm going to delete it out because I think, generally speaking, you may have wanted the panel and the button. So we're going to grab the button. We're going to say, okay, we now have a button out here for wireframe, and we're just going to copy this to all so it's good. And now we've got wireframe button, but we don't want it to just read wireframe button. Here's where variables are excellent. So now we can do a get variable over here, switch icons for sure. We can do that based off of this var or variable. We can also switch data or data, however you want to say that, based on this var or variable. Now I'm going to grab string, plug it into the label. I'm going to grab string, Shift D, G, Y, bring it down, keep it nice and clean. Save your file, Shift R once in a while. Hey, it compiled successful, don't have anything crazy going on. Now I can press this button, it's not doing anything yet. There we go. Let's do a custom setup here. You can see what's happening. This is Visual Scripting Editor, wireframe op. Boom, 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 boom. Everything is working still. Very nice. We like it. I think this has a wireframe in it, so I'm just going to type wire. And I've got that icon. I thought there was two. Let's see if this is going to... because that's on right now, so we would want maybe a little X up there or something when it's off. You press that, it's switched. It's off now. Wireframe's off. It just gives you an indication, so that's cool. But that's wireframing everything. You can also, just real quick, you can Alt mouse that off of there, grab the Objects node, grab Selected, tag it in, so now with Selected, wireframe is on selected. That's cool. I had to pause the video there. We've got a neighbor across the street with a very loud exhaust. I just don't want that in my tutorial. So cool. So now selected covers that, which is fine. That's the selected folder. So let's tag these in, and now whatever you want to say here, wireframe on. Well, I think it's going to be backwards. So we are going to say off. And I'm going to copy that and then just change the last. There we go. Wireframe off. Yep. And then wireframe on, and that is, yeah, switching data now. And you have to click it a few times. Okay, so it's gonna be backwards from the way I had it. So now it's off, now it's on, and you've now got a loop control, which I think with control space bar, I just did that, by the way, just so you guys know. So little tips and tricks. And this is a decent, very easy to work with little graph here. And a lot can be done with this. This is a very, very basic setup. Now, obviously, I didn't understand all of this stuff. When I started Serpens, it was just crushing. It was crushing because you're like, what does this mean? What is that? Variables took me months to understand variables. It took me a while to understand string values. I actually took some real Python courses, and that just advanced me light years ahead of where I was, you know, because never compare yourself with anyone else in Blender. Don't do that. Don't do that anywhere in anything. But there you go. There's your wireframe on, wireframe off setup for the, I guess, just for anybody who wants it. I'll just put this up as a blend file so people can have it and download it off my Gumroad. Join my Gumroad, join my YouTube if you want. I've got a Patreon. I'll put that link, or you can go find that link down there. You can just be a free member and get a lot. Let's see. I've currently got 57 members, and so if you're a free person here, you can scroll down to the free member post and you'll get all these add-ons. You get my vintage menu, my mirror machine. I love that add-on. I really don't want to give it away free, to be honest. Light scale add-on, nobody liked that one, but it's cool. You can actually scale lights energy value by pressing S, like you would scale mesh. It's super cool. Ref Pro AI, which is a top tier program. LM Studio Pro Gobos, that was one of my best programs ever made. I made that with Serpens, and I made that with scripting, and it was a labor of love. It's still a good piece of software up to, I think, 3.6 or maybe even 4.1.1, I think. Light Magic Pro, very basic, not a great program. IS Infinity Lighting, basic, cool. Bevel Joints, basic, cool. Rename, just another basic thing. And then if you sign up, you get all of the pro versions of that. Bevel Joints 4, Textedit, CSV Converter. It's a Vertex tool, Auto Smooth, Vintage Menu, Rename, Cracks add-on, which is simulation, super cool. Scale Alert Pro. The Scale Alert Pro, like, it detects any rotation or scale that's out on anything, and you can check it delta rotations, I think, as well. I don't remember if I put it in there. I have to check that. OCP Pro, proxy add-on, super cool. Mirror Machine, and then Render Switch. So yeah, there's a lot of things, and this is for my Blender enthusiasts and professionals, and then this is my free section for you guys. And then here's another, this is a completely pro IES add-on right here. This is IES Lighting. It's incredible. You got to check this out. This one's either for sale or you subbed up to get it, because this took months and months to make, months and months. So as a little bonus here, we're going to go over the Claude AI, and we're going to say, hey, create a Blender script that loops, we'll just say selected, over all selected objects, and turns on or off the wireframe viewport visibility. And then we'll skip down and say, I'm holding shift when I hit enter, by the way. Then we're gonna say also for the UI, create a panel in the end panel and add one button and change the text via Boolean if true or false. Whoops. False for wireframe on or off. And it's going to spit out some code. And it's gotten better. It's something that's like, it's not as easily modifiable if you're just starting out, because if you see all this and you're like, oh my god, what is this? Well, this is what puts it in the UI for you right here. Okay, this is the little bit of code. Then it's going to have the import BPY up here. It's going to have BLID name, blah, blah, and different classes. It's going to register it. Let's just copy this and see what it does. Let's see. Toggle. I bet there's a variable, something equals blah, blah in here. Wireframe equals context wireframe scene. I'm not sure that's going to work, but let's give it a try. And if I come down here, what file is this? Let me go back. Over here, we're going to go to scripting, create new, just Control V, grab this if name register main and zap it. Okay, go back over here. And what we want to do is, let's just cut this. I don't have any conflicts potentially. Type in script, type in run, get a run script and this, tag them together. And let's grab text. Let's recycle button, and let's say, hey, I got these two selected, and it's doing on off, so it's working. But as soon as I saw where it was, it's not doing data. This is like doing context or something. So what you can say now is let the AI know that the button is working. Otherwise, it's going to jack your button up. So you would say the button is working, but I see the context is incorrect and needs to be bpy dot data. And what we can do, if you want to be smart, is come over here. Where is it? Let's go back to data. Let's go back to objects. Oops. Where am I at here? I'm in the wrong blend file. That's why that's not working. Let's go back over here to the scripting. Let's see. I thought I still had that up. Under data. Should still be there. Okay, it's not. No big deal. So I want to find objects. Any object. Let's grab the icosphere and just say wire FR. Doesn't have to be the whole thing. What did I do to get that last time? I've already forgotten. Icosphere. Was I in data? Wasn't in data, was I? Well, if you don't remember, because it's like my brain's going a million miles an hour, just hover your mouse over here. It's going to say bpy data.objects show wire. So if I go under here and type show, then it should say show wire, Boolean. Boom. Grab that. Go back to ChatGPT and Control V that in. Hit enter, enjoy. That's gonna most likely that's gonna work. It's gonna say, oh, you're correct. Haha. Blah blah blah. Show wire, specific property toggling wireframe. Blah blah. Let me revise the script. It's gonna go through. It's gonna do the thing. It's done. So I can just copy. I'm gonna run back over scripting. Do this. Control V. Knock off the if name equals main register because this node is gonna do that for you. Hit recycle. Save. Shift R, compile, boom, boom, boom. Look at that. We got it working. That's awesome. So there's two ways. There be two ways to do it, matey. I sure do. Now we got a button to turn it on and a button to turn it off. And they can fight over each other. In fact, I could put a timer on these and make them fight over each other and probably crash Blender, which would be really fun. And we may do that in a future tutorial. But till next time, there you go.